Today, we will be discussing where Shakespeare set his 38 plays and some of the reasons why he chose these locations.
To start off, the Comedy of Errors takes place in Ephesus, located on the western coast of Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. Shakespeare set Troilus and Cressida in the ancient world, a place called Troy in what is now near the west coast of Turkey. The action moves around between the city of Troy itself and the Greek camp. The place in which some or all the action is set in Italy are All's Well, That Ends Well, Antony and Cleopatra, Cymbeline, Julius Caesar, The Merchant of Venice, Much Ado About Nothing, Othello, Romeo and Juliet, The Taming of the Shrew, Titus Andronicus, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, and Winter's Tale. Keep in mind that some of these plays are not set exclusively in Italy.
Of his work takes place in Italy. We now come to Julius Caesar. This tragic story is set in Rome and a few other places in Italy. The story takes place in the Roman streets and the Forum. Another tragic story is Othello. It is an Italian prose tale written in 1565 by Giraldi Cinccio. The location of Othello is Venice, which was written in 1603. Next is Coriolanus. It is set around 491 BCE in ancient Rome. At this point, Rome is in the early stages of being a republic. Another play is The Winter's Tale. This romantic story takes place in Sicilia and Bohemia. It takes place in King Leon the Sicilian court and in the Bohemian countryside in the middle of summer. Now we move on to Spain, where only Love's Labor Laws was set in. It is a comedy story that takes place in Navarre and Greece. The next work is A Midsummer's Night's Dream, which is set in ancient Athens. Continuing, The Two Noble Kinsmen takes place in Athens.
In Shakespeare's work, some of his plays were set in the United Kingdom. Henry IV, Part 1 and 2, Henry V, Henry VI, Parts 1, 2, and 3, Henry VIII, Richard II and 3, and King John all took place in London. The play The Merry Wives of Windsor was set in Windsor, England. Shakespeare's The Tempest was set on a fictional island that was somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea in Renaissance Europe. The island was described as barren and arid and a magical place. The Twelfth Night was also set in an imaginary place in a city called Area, which is today parts of Serbia, Slovenia, Bosnia, and other countries. It is a place set on the Adriatic coast which gave Shakespeare the perfect mysterious setting he had in mind for his play. The main part of the play takes place in Paris, France, and Italy. Shakespeare's Measure for Measure takes place in the Catholic city of Vienna, Austria. Shakespeare set Hamlet in a royal palace known as Elsinore in Denmark. His tragedy Macbeth took place in Scotland, Europe during the Middle Ages. It was set in Inverness, the Castle of Macbeth, and Lady Macbeth.
As we can see, most of Shakespeare's plays were set mostly in Europe and around the Mediterranean Sea. 2 were in Turkey, 10 were in Italy, 1 was in Spain, 3 were in Greece, 7 in the UK, 2 were in fictional places, and there was 1 in each of Yugoslavia, France, Austria, Denmark, Scotland, Egypt, and Lebanon. He was probably not able to visit most of these locations, which meant that he would have had to make assumptions of how the locations were, which made Shakespeare's power of imagination very important in all of his plays.